Okay, after getting torched by the 49ers last week, what did Sean Desai have to say, and is there a reason to believe him? Plus, Brian Johnson guarantees more of a focus for DeAndre Swift, while Jason Kelce called out the squad for not being good enough. We've got a Zach Ertz update, and could the Eagles be bringing back Ndamukong Suh? Plus, after missing a couple throws versus San Fran, one NFL analyst believes Jalen Hurts should be benched. Well, that's insane. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? All right, let's start with Lane Johnson being named a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for his work with his Travis Mannion Foundation. And you can help vote for the big guy by retweeting the post that I have a link for in the description. But speaking of another big guy, Big Dom's sideline incident with the 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw is still being reviewed by the NFL. And despite Mike Florio's conspiracy theory suggesting the league will come down hard on Dom and the Birds, Sirianni doesn't agree, saying, "I know where Dom's heart was. There's nobody in the world that does their job as well as he does. No doubt he was just trying to defuse the situation." Heck, even Kyle Shanahan, who initially called the act ridiculous, toned it down, responding with, "I definitely don't have any hard feelings towards Dom or anything like that. I don't want anyone to go too hard on him. I think he just got caught in a weird situation and an emotional situation. So no hard feelings toward him. I know a lot of people who know him and speak very highly of him. I just couldn't believe we lost our player because of it." All right, I can appreciate that, and sure, there'll probably be a fine and maybe even a suspension, but I wouldn't expect it to be more than a game, and hopefully we learned our lesson and we can move on from it.
The police who investigate the crimes and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders, these are their stories.
Come on, we all make mistakes, but Sirianni's confident in the squad ultimately being better for it.
We're going to learn from that loss, and you hate anytime you lose. That doesn't sit well with us anytime you lose, and they got us. They beat us up, and so we just got to recover from that game. It's my job to make sure the players are rested and well enough to play the next game, and we just need to learn from this game. I don't think you come away saying, "Well, we lost by this many points," and you have it's any losses like that, right? And then sometimes you just got to go in there and you got to learn from all the mistakes that you made, and starting with us as coaches, all right, and then with the way we played, and so nobody's exempt from after a win or after a loss, of correcting their mistakes.
All right, well, we have a lot of those to correct with Dallas coming up. Starting off with a running game that clearly hasn't been good, thanks in no small part to the play calling, which, like I talked about yesterday, resulted in Sirianni changing his tune about the running game.
I just think that the run game is executing differently than what you've seen. When you just look at a stat book, you're not going to get that information exactly the way it is, right? You look at other plays, the explosive play to Dallas Goedert, right? Well, it counts as a pass. Well, I got it, but it's a RPO. It's an RPR. Some teams read it and they play option football, and some teams read it and they play pass forward football. Those are runs. There's more to the run game, like those numbers, than just what the stats say. And so that's how I'm kind of answering that. You guys can take that.
I just want to clarify, Nick. So you're okay with the way that the run game's going right now?
Look, I'm sorry, but that irritates me at times, because you guys know I've talked about it for a while with the running game being an issue, and we all see it. So who does he think he's fooling with those comments? I mean, even Jason Kelce flat out disagreed with Sirianni's assessment back in early November. Now, I agree with the idea of a loss potentially being a good thing like it was after the Jets loss, and even guys like BG and Dallas Goedert see it as a positive too. So possibly the blessing in disguise is that it may finally result in change, with Brian Johnson sounding like he's gonna stick with Swift more than he has in the past.
And it always starts with being able to run the ball efficiently and effectively. We got to continue to do a better job at that. And part of it, too, is just, finding that balance of patience, of just being able to continue to hammer attempts and try to get the guys in a good rhythm and a good flow. You could have 7 yards on 4 carries and then break one for 30, and now, you have 37 yards on 5 carries or whatever it is. So, and those numbers, that average looks a little bit different. Now you're averaging 7 yards a carry or whatever it is. So we have to just continue to pound at it until, one of those explosives pop. And I think, for us, that's something that we have to be really committed to.
Thank you, but why is BJ just now saying this? Look, I know we all realize it's been 3 games this year where Swift ended with less than 10 rushing attempts, and sure, the O-line wasn't near as good in that area when Cam Jurgens went down, yet the group's healthy now, so there's no excuse. Of course, I saw the argument saying blocking in general has been bad, with Elliot Shore-Parks referencing the numbers, saying pass protection has been an underrated issue for the Eagles. O-line is 28th in hurries and 24th in total pressures allowed. Hurts has allowed the most pressures among QBs per PFF, and together they are 21st in sacks allowed, the only team in the bottom 12 projected to make the playoffs.
It's that bad?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad either. And maybe it's not, because I think those of us watching recognize Jalen's had a decent amount of time in the pocket. So personally, I feel like you have to either argue it's on Jalen or the play calling or a combination of both. Now, Shane Half pointed out at least a couple times where Jalen's missed, and he definitely deserves his fair share of criticism. Like, for example, on the first play of the game, not being willing to hit tight end Jack Stoll after the safety bit on the play fake. Yet okay, I get not wanting to throw it to Stoll. And thankfully, Dallas Goedert said he's about 85 to 90% and definitely playing against Dallas, so at least that won't be an issue. But getting back to Jalen, he missed Smitty initially on a play early in the game that could have resulted in 6. Obviously, we remember his slip being a momentum killer. And then later, as Shane pointed out, Hurts had Devontae on the out route but bailed early. Just so I'm clear, while I think Jalen isn't faultless, I'm the furthest thing from David Carr's take on what Philly should do with its quarterback situation.
Clearly, Jalen isn't comfortable reading through a defense in a drop-back pass scenario. Some would say he's not even good at it. And I think that when you look at this team, you have to have a serious conversation if you're Philly. And you have to really say, is it better for us to play Marcus Mariota right now and let Jalen get fully healthy? Ooh. Put Marcus in there, win a couple games. Yeah. Maybe you have the number 1 seed still. You might have it. I'd say he's probably better at playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Right now.
What the heck? Did Buddy even watch the preseason? Okay, obviously he didn't with that take, because we all know what it means if Mariota has to come in. I mean, that's just one of those takes that he's saying for views. Come on, he can't really believe that. Sure, yeah, Jalen hasn't played to the standard in several games this season, but the vast majority of that, in my opinion, is because of the play calling, with these really long to develop routes. Because there's no reason we shouldn't be getting the ball out quicker and running more like we were talking about a second ago. Which is why it's obviously no surprise that Fire Brian Johnson has become a weekly trending topic on X. And believe me, I get the frustration with BJ, but should he be getting most of the criticism? Especially after Eagles insider Dave Spadaro took to Reddit to provide insight on exactly how the Eagles offense is run, saying Nick Sirianni is extremely involved. This is Nick's offense. With input from the coaching staff, they put together the game plan during the week, and then Brian knows where to go, what bet of options to call, and in what situations.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
I don't blame you. It feels like that a lot of the time. Yet despite some reactions on X, this isn't earth-shattering information, is it? Like, we've known since BJ was hired that Sirianni would be micromanaging the offense, didn't we? Look, honestly, I don't care whose fault it is. We just got to get it fixed, because the offense has way too many weapons to be having these kind of struggles. And I can't blame Jason Kelce for suggesting the team's play just isn't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we're not good enough right now. I think that, obviously, disappointed in the way we performed, and didn't get it done today. But, we still got some games left, a lot of football to learn from. We're going to watch this tape, and I still have the utmost confidence with everybody in this locker room on both sides of the ball. This game doesn't do anything to sway that.
I don't know. Where are you guys at? I know it's hard sometimes looking at it every single week and seeing the holes, but I can't help being the eternal optimist. Although, like we've seen recently, the defense is probably in worse shape. So maybe I'm wrong to be optimistic, ranking dead last in third down defense and number 29 out of 32 in red zone defense. And for those counting, that's just barely ahead of Arizona in terms of defensive series results.
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
Yeah, it might be time to sound the alarm. However, Sean Desai disagrees.
It's a high focus, and it's going to get even higher. We got to do a better job as a staff and as coaches and myself leading the staff in those areas. And we will do a better job there. And it's about being more consistent for longer. The last few trips down into the red zone, we've gotten to third down. And then we've lost on third down. So we got to just do better and put our guys in better position to go ahead and execute down there.
Okay, that sounds great and all, but and I know that Desai's a broken record at this point. I mean, how many times have we heard this? Really, at this point, we just need to see significant change. At the same time, I'll grant you that we are still atop the NFC with a 10-2 record, And sure, the NFL schedule makers didn't do us any favors, but we're talking about dead last in defensive rankings, not middle of the pack. Seriously though, what's the answer? I know Ndamukong Suh has been linked to Philly, with Slay's wife Jennifer making a pitch to Suh to return, and as much as I'd love his presence in the locker room because he sure wouldn't have let the Niner bullying go on pregame, we don't really need additions on the D-line. Now, hopefully Shaq Leonard can find a former version of himself, and like I talked about on my previous video, he can't be any worse. Also, nice to see Shaq in the 215, and honestly, I can't wait to see him pay dividends. Of course, I've also heard some suggestions about blitzing more, but I should caution that if you think that's the answer, it may not be. With Paul Domowitch sharing, opposing QBs have a 114.6 passer rating when the Eagles have blitzed this season. Last season, it was 77.3. In the last 2 games, Josh Allen and Brock Purdy collectively have 13.5 yards per attempt, with 3 touchdowns when the Eagles have blitzed. Alright, I get Paul's point, but maybe it's just the wrong personnel that we're sending, or the wrong play calling in general. I don't know, I'm sorry to be so negative, but I'm also not trying to look at this through rose-colored glasses. Curious to know what you guys think, and what do you expect to see against Dallas on Sunday? I should also mention, it's possible for the Eagles to clinch a playoff spot due to the plethora of various outcomes on game day. And basically, to summarize, if we beat Dallas, we're likely getting a playoff berth, and, most importantly, remaining the number 1 seed. Also, reports are that Zach Ertz has met with Philly personnel, and it's likely the former Eagle becomes an Eagle again. So make sure to subscribe and turn the notifications on, since my promise to you is that we will for sure be the first to go live as soon as we get any official word. Alright, a win on Sunday would obviously be huge for the psyche of the players and coaches, and despite how bad it may look, I'll encourage everyone to wait one more week. Let's see what the Birds do versus Dallas. This has been the Philly Special.